All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Here I Am Sydney meeting. And today, as we get started, Kaden's going to pray for us.
Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, as you're about to listen to the speaker, we ask that the words please bless our hearts and that we'll be able to learn something and be able to also apply it to our lives. In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay, today I'm going to be talking about contentment. And so, hold on. Okay, sorry. I got it. Okay, so like I said, today's topic is going to be about contentment. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I'm just not content. And something that I've learned a lot, like especially as you guys are heading into your senior year or just the upper class of high school, you guys are going to learn a lot about contentment, hopefully in finance class. And so, yes. Contentment. So what is contentment? The word contentment is often overlooked a lot. This word is a state of happiness and satisfaction. So oftentimes when we think of contentment, we think of money. Like when I reach six figures, hold on. Okay, I'm really sorry. So when I reach six figures in my job, then I'll be super happy. I'll be blessed. I'll be content, and life will be perfect, right? And or dating, like you see a lot of people, like old or young nowadays, be like, man, if I just had the perfect guy who is kind, compassionate, has money, has like goals and dreams and aspirations, then like I'll be set for life, right? And a lot of times we think our the only reason why we're lonely is because we're single. And that's obviously wrong. And I think that's a whole nother topic for another day. And a lot of people also going back to money is objects, right? Like for example, Here I Am sent me. If I have 18 million views on my videos and my videos alone, and I mean, maybe some other people's videos, that'd be cool because then we would be reaching more people, right? But it's never pretty much contentment. You see a lot of people dissatisfied because they don't have contentment. And like I said before, is like that's a really bad path to go down. You see it in finances, people going into debt every day. And some companies have to go into bankruptcy because they were never content and I feel like they kind of reached too high or they got like something just didn't go right because they were not content. So this kind of discontentment pretty much in one sentence is not being satisfied with what the Lord has entrusted you to do and entrusted you with to serve Him. So you're pretty much saying, Lord, you aren't enough. Lord, you're not giving me what I need to be satisfied. So I'm going to look for it in the world. And that is a really, really bad path and mindset to have. In Proverbs 15:16, it says, better is it with the fear of the Lord than great treasure and trouble therewith. Solomon is telling us pretty much it is better to fear the Lord than to have great treasure. Worldly treasures bring us greater troubles than walking and doing what's right with the Lord. Micah 6:8 says, He hath shown me the way, He has shown me thee, O man, what is good. And what does He require of you, but to do justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with our God? So, what lies at the foundation of contentment? Well, it's greed. Luke 12:15 says, And he said unto them, Take heed and be aware of covetousness, for man's life consisteth not in the abundance of things which he possesses. with greed, you are coveting over something that God is saying no to, or not right now, but in the future. You are taking that item, that object, that person, place, or thing, or setting, and placing it above God and making an idol out of it, which makes you then like lust for it. So going back to what I was saying, I think, when we think of lust, we think of like the physical thing, right? And we forget that it can be like objects, like I just stated, or something like social media, like putting 18 million followers or 18 million views, like lusting for 18 million views instead of thinking and having the mindset, okay, God, like, thank you so much for blessing this video that I made to glorify your name with 200 views instead. Like, please, at least out of those 200 views, help one person to have gotten something out of it and to have gained a better understanding of you. You know what I'm saying? So like contentment. So what we should be longing for is Jesus. What we should be longing for, though, is, oh, how I long for the day that Jesus is coming back. Oh, how I long to see him face to face. And for me to hear those words and hear the words, well done, thou good and faithful servant, you have won the race, and I'm very proud of you. So I feel like we forget that that's our main goal in life, and that's what we should be racing towards, and not earthly treasures. So I think it was really interesting when I was putting this together a long time ago. You usually hear like from the older generation, like money isn't everything. Like if you ask rich people, they're never going to be happy. They'll just tell you like it's great, either to look good or because they're like, I don't know, they're just saying that, right? So I searched up like how many how do rich people really feel with their money? Like, are they truly happy? And so that is really interesting. Hold on, I lost my place. Okay, so I'm just gonna back up a few steps. So when you ask most rich people if they're truly happy, most of them will say no. And you might be thinking, well, Kai, like normal people who are broke say no too. Like, so what makes them different from us? Well, if people are with money are saying that they aren't happy, and people like us or people like us without money are saying no too, then is money really the solution to our problems? I mean, sure. Like, I feel like if you gather enough money and donate enough times, sorry, donate to like charities like cancer, like it could help solve cancer, get us out of debt, and for us to do these things. But is it really the answer? So like I said, I looked it up on Google, like what rich people, wait, what makes, wait a minute. I looked up metal glades on on Google, and pretty much they did a survey, and it was, does wealth really affect happiness? So it said most people think, and it said most people that most people think that the richer they are, the happier they become. However, evidence shows that this isn't necessarily the case. In fact, recent studies have shown that the more money you have, the more likely you are to suffer from depression and other mental health. A recent study pointed out that once a certain annual income has reached a sum of $105,000 in the US, which is about $95,000 on average around the world, we are more likely to have a worse life satisfaction and reduce well-being. Why? Because money equals more wants, which follows the path to more isolation. Because in order to have money, you got to work a lot, right? So don't get me wrong, you can be a great Christian with money. Oh no, you can be a great Christian going to church, paying your tithes, following the rules, donating to charities, whether that's from your heart truly or just for like tax purposes, resting on the Sabbath, doing all these things. But if the devil can't make you bad, he'll make you busy. And that was something I heard from Taj. Taj, I'm pretty sure you guys know who he is. And I was like, whoa, like that's deep. Because that's so true, you know? Like if the devil can't get you, then he'll make you bad or busy. Because if you're busy, then you can't spend time with God. So, and by making you busy, he'll fill your time up with having you be driven more, having you be more driven to make more money, to grow your name, to flex on your competitors, and things like that. Things that are not Christian, pretty much. Which then concludes overall, making you too busy to do what? Spending time with God. See, you can know someone all you want. You can know their name, their salary, their favorite restaurant, their diet, workout routine, really anything. But if you don't have a relationship, do you really know them? And I thought that was really interesting because I was on Instagram one day, just scrolling away my life. And I came across this one guy named Isaac David, and he used this example pretty much. And it was pretty much like, if I was telling you guys, like one of you guys, that I was finally in a relationship and I really liked him, but the thing is we only talked once and maybe twice a month. And then we would only talk because we were lonely or we were mad or frustrated and we just needed somebody to be there to comfort us. But other than that, like, I don't care to get to know him and he doesn't care to get to know me. You would probably be like, girl, like, what are you doing? That is not a godly relationship. And there are so many red flags. Like, number one, that ain't godly. Number two, you're just using him for stuff, and that's just red flags all over. And honestly, that's so true. Like, what kind of relationship is that? But the conclusion he had and the analogy he made was, unfortunately, that's most of our relationships with God. It's always, God, I need you. My salary has decreased. Or, God, how could you not be there? How could you not be there for me when I needed you the most, right? I always have been there for you and doing your will. Wait, what? Like, that's probably what God's thinking, right? When we go to him. But like, sometimes I think we just forget, like, in order to have a relationship with God, we need to have a relationship. We need to get to know him and spend time with him. So when it comes to schooling and intelligence, and if you ever need help, I am not a person. Like, I'm so bad at school. I'm the kid that's like, Google, what's a verb? When Mrs. Nwosu is like, Kai, what's a verb? And I'm like, it was very embarrassing. Anyways, but something that I did learn, like one thing that stood out to me the most was in science class. And that was in 8th grade, and it was Newton's like third law or something, don't quote me, but it was pretty much every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So our actions of treating God our actions pretty much, so every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? So if we treat God just like he's there only when we need him, but for nothing else, then he's going to be like, hey, like, I don't know you, man. Like when we stand at the gates of heaven, or like on that judgment day, he's going to be like, sorry, like, I don't know you. And that's what happens, right? Because of our actions. And that's the reaction that we're going to get. He's going to be like, sorry, I never knew you. But if we take the time to spend time with him, whether that's in the morning for 5 minutes and then at night for like 30 minutes or whatever, then he's going to be like, good job. Like, you tried your best. You were faithful in all that I gave you. You were content and you ran this race and you won. So the Bible warns us about greed actually a lot. In 2 Timothy 3:2, it says, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. And then Philippians 2:21 says, for all have seek their own, not the things which are Jesus Christ. So Paul was telling Timothy and the Philippians in the last day that the world that the world is going to be lovers of money, and they're going to be seeking worldly gains, and will try, and everything, like every wickedness and every wicked thing that you can think of will increase, because everyone is leaving God. They're seeking their own will. And these things are not of Christ, because Matthew 6:33 says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. So you're probably thinking, what if God blessed me with wealth and I use it for his glory, and I use it only to glorify God with the money? Is it still wrong? No, because it's like Job, right? Like Job had everything. He had money, he had land, he had cattle, he had a great family, and his health was in shape, and everything was going right for Job because he was righteous with the Lord. And so when Satan was just like walking around and God was like, what are you doing? He was like, you see Job, like he's only faithful to you because he has all these things and you've blessed him. And God was like, no, that's not true. And like they kind of like went back and forth, right? And so finally God was like, okay, fine, you can test him. So Satan tried to break him with every way. Like he took away his money, took away his kids, he destroyed his wealth and everything. But I found it really interesting because if you look in Job chapter 1, I believe, in the very beginning, like Job, you could tell how faithful Job was, because Job 1:20-22, it says, Job rose up and rented a mantle and shaved his head and fell upon the ground and worshipped, and said, naked I came out of my mother's womb, and naked I shall return thither. And the Lord gave, the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this, Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. So if we're being honest here, most of us would probably say that like usually we would say that closer to the end of the trial, once we tried everything in our power to fix the problems and to fix what we're going through. But I found that really interesting because like Job truly was faithful to God. He used all his riches and his wealth and his life in general to serve the Lord. And he said that at the beginning of his trial. And I think that's where we should, or how we should strive to be too. And so in 1 Corinthians 10:31, it says, whether therefore ye eat or drink or whatever ye shall do, do it all to the glory of God. So having money is a big responsibility, just like anything else in our life and what we do with our life. We must surrender daily, asking God to guide us and direct our paths, keep us from temptation. And when we feel like a temptation is coming our way, we need to immediately turn to God in prayer and ask for his strength. So going back to just contentment, like I said over and over, it is a really dangerous road, and a road that many of us face in life, actually. So the question is, are you going to say, God, you are enough for me? Your grace is sufficient for me, and I will claim your name. You are mine, and I am yours. Or will you say, I need the world. You don't satisfy me enough, so I'm going to go chase after the world and see what it can do for me. 1 Timothy 6:6-8 says, now there is a great gain in godliness and contentment, for we brought nothing into the world and cannot take anything out of the world. But if we have food and clothing, with these we will be content. So pretty much all we need to be content is food and clothing. No, all we need to be content is have God. And if we have food and clothing on our backs, then we're doing just fine. And we really shouldn't be striving for anything greater or things like that. Hebrews 13:5 and Matthew 6:19-21 both say, let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content in such things as ye have. And he hath said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. And lay up yourselves treasures upon the earth, and where their moth and rust doeth corrupt, and where thieves break through the steel. But lay up yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doeth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So tonight, as I encourage you, and as I end this, I really encourage you guys to search your heart. Think, what do I want with my life? What are my goals and my aspirations? What am I truly running for? Am I saying I'm just running towards the Lord to sound like a good Christian? Or are you truly showing that with how you live your life? And lastly, I want you guys to think about, are you saying with your heart, Lord, you are enough, or are you not enough? Or are you saying that you aren't enough and that I'm going to go chase after the world because you can't satisfy me? And so, with all that being said, that is all I have to say. So I think Oliver is supposed to be doing music. Are you ready?
Okay, now we will close up with a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the music and the speaker. Lord, I hope that these words may have impacted our lives and that we truly think about them. In Jesus'
Alrighty, well, thank you everyone for watching, and until next time, take care. Bye.